Hello and welcome everyone to Khurram Qureshi Podcast. Today we have a special guest in our podcast, Rob Cerjanec MPP Ajax. Rob, how are you doing today?
I'm very well. How are you doing, Khurram?
I'm wonderful and you're looking great, sir.
Thank you as well.
Thank you very much for coming in my podcast in the July. It's summer. I thought like all politicians take time off, except you, I guess.
Well, the legislature isn't supposed to be back till the end of October, but and some people think, because the legislature's not meeting, you're not working. It's furthest thing from the truth, right? I'm out in the community quite a bit, meeting with folks, doing stuff like this, events
Right.
and whatnot. So yeah.
Well, thank you. So tell our audiences about you, your family background, where you come from, and a little bit of your history, please.
So, grew up in Toronto near Don Mills and Shepherd. My mom was a single mom. So we grew up in a one-bedroom apartment, didn't have a lot of money, but had a lot, able to go to a great public school, right? Had some great opportunities growing up there and, had the privilege of, working in politics. I've worked for not-for-profits. I worked for the Deputy Mayor of Toronto in a bylaw for about 4 years, where I was kind of her right hand at City Hall, working on, very challenging issues like housing, homelessness, and some really big projects in the area that she represented in Toronto. Then had the opportunity to go out and do an MBA. So I did that at the Schulich School of Business. And while I was doing my MBA, I had the opportunity to come work for the Durham District School Board.
Okay.
And it was right during when the pandemic started. So it was a very challenging time.
Tell me about it.
I think for everyone. My first day there was the first day schools were actually shut down.
Wow.
And kids were at home. So it was, that's your first day. Can you imagine that, right?
Imagine it.
I knew the public education sector pretty well, but at the same time,
Yeah.
right, I didn't work in it before, but I'd, been an advocate, some other stuff. So that's the first day going through the pandemic and communicating kind of complicated, government decisions and what was happening to families and to staff and to students, trying to help them make sense of what was going on. So in some ways, it was a bit of a trial by fire, right? Sink or swim moment. And, we were able to manage it, I think, quite well.
Yes.
And at the school board, I was on the senior team. So I oversaw communications, governance, supporting the board of trustees, research, and one of the things that I did was when bad things happened or challenging situations happened, I would typically be the guy that gets the phone call.
Got it.
Right, to then help manage that situation, whether it's communicating to the community or working with partners, kind of putting out fires, that kind of stuff. So every day is a different day, just like it is in politics.
You got it.
Actually, I left the school board. I became a business consultant, working with school boards, but other businesses as well. And then that's where the opportunity came to be able to run, because there was a snap election that took place this February.
Well, that's good, and I'm glad to hear, your brief story about it, and you were quite a bit of on point that, COVID times was a difficult time, and so you're a survivor, I should say, that you survived not only the COVID, but on the first day on the job, and the COVID as the challenge is you're in the war zone without prepared for the war.
Exactly, right, and I don't think anybody knew at the time, what was going to happen next, or what was, to come, right? But it was I think, a good experience for me to be able to do that. Yeah. I mean, I think it's something that I think we all wish didn't happen.
Yes.
At the end of the day, and didn't have to deal with it. But definitely, I think we came out of it. I hope, I like to think stronger. But, I think we're seeing kind of the impacts then of post-COVID now with, there's more homelessness. For example, right? There's more folks with mental health challenges,
correct,
as well, and I think that's something that's really important for the province to be addressing and doing, including the federal government as well, of course.
Yes,
I'm an opposition MPP, so I don't sit on the government side. I sit on the opposition benches. I'm Liberal MPP, so my role is a little bit more of, it's being critical of the government, but it's also kind of offering alternative visions or different solutions or ideas. So that's kind of, what my role is there, and that's the focus that I'm doing in the legislature. Not just being critical for the sake of it. It's more to, build support. It's more to saying, well, hey, here's some things that you can do. right? Trying to be helpful as well.
Very nice, very nice. And what also happened in the COVID, I was actually the chairperson of the Downtown Ajax BIA, and I was getting a lot of calls from the local businesses and all that. All level of government on a municipal, regional, provincial was reaching out to the BIAs, chairpersons and executive directors, and we're asking what else we can do to help us out, because we were connected with the local businesses, and we were just taking a lot of information, having a lot of virtual meetings because we couldn't meet. And it exposes a lot of vulnerabilities and issues in the government sector too. A lot of red taping, protocols were there. So I think it was kind of open up the opportunity in the modern times to revise those protocols too. So since you experienced that, and I served it in the Ajax BIA in the past, and now it's dissolved, and after that homelessness went up, as you know it. So I'm willing to work with you to build some protocols, in the sense that in the next COVID, God forbid it doesn't happen, but what is the protocol of that would be like? So if you try to plan it and set up a committee, I'm happy to be the part of it, and would like to give you the advice from the business end of it and the profit and non-profit end of it, because I was getting requests from all level of organizations in my jurisdiction at that time. Absolutely. And advising the government, both virtual meetings and formal emails, and taking how to receive the grant and distribute it. So that's going to be a very good advice.
Yeah, and always happy to work with folks in the business community and non-for-profit sector, and the folks working in the homelessness sector as well, right? It really does require everyone kind of talking and working together, but it also requires more leadership, especially from the government side, because it's a challenge, and it's getting worse. It's getting worse in downtown Ajax. It's something that I hear from residents and business owners, and there's folks who are out on the streets. They're out there sometimes for no fault of their own, right? As well, they could have been out of just didn't have money for rent anymore, right? Because rent was too expensive, right? Or other issues or things happening in their lives. So we got to make sure that we're supporting folks. But the key here is helping to get people off the streets, and I think that's the most important thing. And I don't mean into a shelter, because shelters are temporary,
correct?
Right. The solution here is a home. At the end of the day, and there are folks dealing with complex mental health challenges, addiction challenges as well sometimes. So we need to ensure that folks are going into transitional supportive housing that have these wraparound supports. So you've got the caseworker, there are mental health supports, there are addiction supports, right? And the whole suite of services in order to help that individual get back on their feet and then out of there into something that's a lot more stable and affordable.
That's true. And putting the people in the shelter is just not going to be a long-term solution. No. And that's what, people saying, just put them in shelter. It doesn't matter. You're going to have, 200 beds or 2,000 bed shelter. Eventually, it is a shelter. It's not a permanent solution. So what we need to work with, and just before your podcast, I had Marla Walters.
Okay, good.
She's.
I've met with her actually, and we've had some good conversations.
Yes. So we discussed it very deeply, what she's doing and all that. It's currently in the post-production process. It will be done soon, so I will send you the link. It was quite a bit of discussion we did, and she mentioned it. It's not people there by choice on the street. It's due to the financial circumstances, and the family couldn't be able to afford, so they let one family member go, sadly, and so a lot of things happen. So what I'm feeling exactly, we need to have a strategic solution, both from the government, nonprofit organization, and social entity consultants, who's going to make the bridge between the government officials as well as nonprofits, and give the direction and the leadership to those homeless people, that there's a hope that you can be able to come in and help them adjust in their real work jobs, so they can have a real income. Once they have income, they can be adjusted in some kind of home sector, or home purchase element to it. And we need to work with the builders and developers, which I know many, and I'm willing to work with them. One of the builder, Norseman Construction, is our client. They are mid-sized construction company, so they are willing to invest in Durham region and work with them. But the issue is land acquisitions. too much red tapes.
Oh, there's a lot.
There's a
lot on the housing sector. I've done a lot of work in it, and oh boy, it's a challenge.
So count me in. As a politician, I know, and you work as a consultant, you know there's a lot of dots to connect. So I'm willing to work with you one-on-one, and we can go next level, Rob, on this one, because we need to resolve this. Because if the homeless people are on the street, it's not helping nobody.
Correct.
First, they are vulnerable. Cities vulnerable. Businesses don't feel comfortable. You were just coming in and you saw outside, this plaza. These are the real things. And I
went out to talk to business owners.
Yes.
I went out to talk to folks who are homeless.
Yeah.
I went out to talk to the agencies as well, because you've got to hear firsthand what people are going through.
Yeah.
Right. And then now we have to develop the solution around that. And there's some things that we can do locally, absolutely, but there's some that's going to require a lot more support from the provincial government and the federal government as well, because these solutions do cost money as well.
Yes.
And I think within some of the existing funding, I think there's ways to do it more affordably, to do it quicker, to do it cheaper, but still have quality there. And that's going to be working with the region because they're the service manager. They're the ones that are actually responsible.
Correct.
For the homeless and shelter and social housing services.
Correct.
In the region.
So I do have a suggestion in that sector, since your MPP Ajax. So hear me out, and maybe we can we can solidify if the idea is valid. So government wants to help, but they need a plan, a strategic plan, a leadership who can be able to lead that project. I'm willing to work on that leadership project to build 250 units or 400 units building for transitional homes as a rental for those people who are out of the shelter zone to a rental zone.
So, but what I would suggest there is you want any building, it actually needs to be mixed income.
Yes.
So what we know now is that when you're building supportive housing, transitional housing, smaller scale is better. Because once things get a bit too big, you then start attracting other issues and problems to that site.
Yes.
And then that is also going to impact the neighborhood around there.
You're right.
But when you're doing things at a more small scale, when it comes to, and by small scale, I don't mean doing 10 units and that's it, but I mean distributed.
Yes.
Right? And a lot more integrated throughout the community, you're able to have a lot more of that social cohesion.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about a bigger building, there's a model that's worked quite well. We did it before. It was in Toronto, in the St. Lawrence neighborhood.
Okay.
And that's an area where you have social housing there. There's affordable housing. When I say affordable, I mean workforce housing. Right? I mean people who might be caretakers or secretaries, right? Or people working in the service sector. And then you also have market rentals and even condos as well. And when you do that, then you actually get a lot more social cohesion and harmony and neighbors helping neighbors.
Exactly.
So that's my thinking around it based on my experience working in housing. And how to do that.
That is a correct thinking you're thinking. And I totally believe on that, and I'm going to support it. What I was going to say that the building, if you're going to spread the building, it's harder to maintain versus one building with the 250 units is about 17, 18 floors, which is manageable. And in that building, we can have the strategic way of designing it and dividing the flooring. So initial first 3 to 4 floor will be for the people with the transition only by checking and vetting with the consultants and mental health experts. And after that, rental families. And we're going to encourage the families to take those parts. And then the top floors will remain as condo. They can be designed differently. They can be able to have a penthouse feeling and all that. So people can be able to own it, but people can be able to manage it. That way, it's not fully load on the government. Private sector needs to involve. Absolutely. And past Mayor of Ajax, Steve Parrish, always said that we need a partnership with the private companies and the consultants. And this is time that I want to put the top gear. There's no hidden things. We got to work together.
I'm with you 100% on that. I think then it's a matter of also convincing other MPPs in areas next door and nearby that are on the government side, because we've called for a lot of leadership on it, but we're not seeing that much of it. at Queen's Park, and that's the challenge right now that I'm seeing in the legislature. There's a lot of talk. There's actually not a lot of doing. There's not a lot of action. And I'm seeing that right now.
And why you think it is happening?
I mean, number one, probably money, quite frankly.
Okay.
These things do cost money to do. I think that's number one. I think number two, and I think we'll dive into it a little bit later, but Ontario is the only province in this country where housing, social housing, shelters, they're actually the municipalities are the service managers. The municipalities are the ones that are responsible to it. It's been downloaded onto municipalities. If you go to BC, if you go to any other province, it's actually managed by the province. Okay. So that's part of a little bit of a disconnect as well. That's there. So that's one of the challenges that I think we're seeing right now. It can stay the way it is here, but there needs to be a lot more support and a coordinated provincial plan around it. So one of my colleagues has put forward a private member's bill. Hopefully the government will support it. We'll see calling on them to come up with a 10-year plan to end homelessness in Ontario. Okay. And that's something that we'll be pushing on quite a bit. Let's hope the government responds positively to that, or at least takes elements from it, because it does require a whole of government approach. At the end of the day, and that means the province working with the federal government, working with the municipalities, because if the cost of doing nothing is what we're seeing right now, and it's people in challenging situations, and I think we can't forget that as well. Folks who are homeless, they could be, it could be your brother, it could be a child, it could be a parent, right? Sure. And we need to understand that human element of it as well, and have real solutions that are going to help people get off the streets.
Absolutely, and it's a long-term shot. And as I mentioned, earlier, it needs to be transitional from all level, but private sector needs to work, and consultant needs to work to educate and push those people, because at certain degree, government MPs and MPPs and regional councillors, mayors, regional chair doesn't have to say or push to the public directly. And with that, if you have an entity or the person who can be able to motivate people, give them the leadership, and he's not connected with politics in general, so that could be very helpful.
Yeah, I mean, I think the challenge you'll find, right, with the private sector, especially when we're talking about, with the private sector, it works quite well when we're talking about kind of affordable housing that is kind of that workforce housing that I was talking about. And if there's a little bit more density and to make the project more viable for them, then they're actually able to add that in. Really what you'll find is that to pay for transitional housing, supportive housing, social housing, which is kind of rent geared to income, that's where actually government needs to be playing that role. The private sector will not be able to subsidize that at the end of the day.
Correct.
But it then requires a rethinking, right, of how do we do these kinds of projects, and where's the land, right? Is it municipal land, right? Is it regional land? Because then if it's that, they have that ability to partner with a private sector partner in order to do that.
Correct.
And there's some examples of that happening, but right now the market conditions to build housing are quite challenging. The interest rates are high, and frankly, people aren't buying condos right now because they're too expensive. So we need to actually, on that side of things, take the HST off of new housing. Could either be on the first $1 million. We can have that conversation about what that looks like, and then as well, the land transfer tax. So it's interesting. It's a new condo. It's a new building. It's never been transferred before. So why is land transfer tax being charged up front on that? When you buy it, if you sell it later, absolutely. I think that makes a lot of sense. So I think we really need to rethink how development happens, because right now these projects, they just don't pencil. The numbers don't work, and they're not getting built. And that's what we're seeing here in Durham Region. We're seeing it in Toronto and GTA as well, and all across the province.
Correct. And this is kind of stalling the entire process.
And it is. And the other impact then we're seeing around that is, so folks that work in kind of construction skilled trades, carpenters, stuff like that, if that pipeline of residential development stalls, these folks will either be out of work and looking into other sectors. And that's something that I'm hearing right now from the unions. And I'm hearing that from construction skilled trades training centers. They're telling me, I don't know what's going to happen to the people we're training, because they're not used to kind of the market ups and downs that have happened in the past, unlike somebody who might have been in the sector for 30 years. Because we also need to ensure that pool of skilled labor is going to be there. So that's why we really need a lot more action on housing and on, building housing that we're not seeing right now. Again, there's a lot of talk at Queen's Park. In terms of the impact and the action, I'm not seeing it very much right now. I'd like to. I ran to get stuff done. I would like to see a lot more things getting done. So that's why I'm advocating and pushing government on that.
Very happy.
I don't know if we intended to talk about housing in the start, but there's a lot. It's an important issue.
It's an important issue, and I'm glad that we're starting with the hot topic earlier rather than later, and it is good that to talk about it. And what I'm finding out, you're very easy to talk, and you get straight to the point. And since you work in the school board, you work as a consultant, you're fluent in those things. And this is kind of a leadership we need. So thank you, Rob, for a great introduction and putting the spotlight on this. Count me in any committee that you make or build or plan or push, an advisor, consultant. I'm willing to come in. I'm not expecting any pay. I just want change. Good for Canada.
Community coming together to build solutions.
Absolutely. I'm taking in Northman Construction President, Chris Potts. Next week, he's coming in into the podcast, sitting in this chair on Friday. And he works and partner with 3D printed companies right here in Ontario and working very close with them. And he's also working with modular home builders too.
Yep.
So this is something that we can be able to work together. I can bring those builders and developers and all those partners. And we're certainly willing to work on the government level.
And I'm curious to hear from them actually about kind of what are the challenges that they're going through. Because, at the provincial level, there's a lot of issues. There's so many topics: healthcare, education, housing, development, community, social services. There's so much more, right? And, I'm not going to be an expert 100% in everything. So I need to also hear from the private sector. I need to hear from builders and from modular housing contractors as to what are the barriers that they're feeling, so that I can then bring those concerns forward to the government to say, hey, look, this is what the sector is telling me, right? Here are things that you can do. Hopefully then they go off and do them. That's my hope. But they need to be able to hear that as well.
Yes. And since this is a very bigger topic and required more time and a focus and determination on this can go beyond the scope of your tenure.
Oh, absolutely.
So if we form the body or the set of individuals who can be able to run this, they can be able to push and follow up beyond your term. Hopefully, with the right leadership and all that, you will make the buzz and you will get reelected. Capacity for the long term. So this needs to think on the long term for this, because homelessness is not helping. It's affecting everyone on all levels.
It is.
Well, so far so good, and this was the blast start of the podcast I ever had, so thank you. My next question to you is, what motivated you to run for the office?
So my political kind of background, my beliefs really are rooted in, where I grew up and the situation in which I was in, right? My mom was a single mom, had a great childhood. I had the opportunity to go to great public schools, the opportunity to go to great, high school, had the opportunity to go on to university, and a lot of economic and social and educational opportunities. But not every kid has those same opportunities. So for me, it's ensuring that every kid has an opportunity to succeed. So that means helping folks have a podium to stand on, and then the ability to go and pursue what they want to be able to pursue. And that kind of covers, good schools, right? Having a strong economy so that there's jobs and opportunities there. And that's kind of a little bit of the social safety net as well, right? Some folks need a little bit of help. They need a hand up. Not a handout necessarily, but a hand up, right? And I think that's where really my motivation came in to run for public office. It's something that, I won't lie, had been on my mind for quite some time. And with the snap election that took place, that was the opportunity to step up and say, hey, I want to serve and I want to make a difference and I want to improve the lives of people. So that happened. And now I guess I have the privilege of sitting in the legislature.
That's great. And I'm very happy, you are very motivated, well-spoken, and well-dressed too. So, and it's going to, help put the spotlight of Ajax and
absolutely.
legislation, and hopefully, with your consulting background, it can be able to, create the buzz and changes, because business mindset is needed. And when you work with the different businesses and the school board, you have the dynamic of all, and raised as a single mom side of it also shows you the challenges the families faces and all that. So that's very good. Give me some information about the formative moments or the mentors shape your political philosophy.
I guess there's a lot, right? I think we can either, I thought about this a little bit, and I'm a student of history, and I've followed many political leaders over time. Maybe have not known them, maybe they've been passed away before I was alive even, some of them. And one stands out to me is Lester B. Pearson, who was Canada's Prime Minister from 1963 to 1968. The airport, right, is named after Pearson, right?
Yes.
And he was short time as Prime Minister in minority governments, but managed to accomplish so much. That's when we saw the Canada Pension Plan come into being. We saw Medicare, the healthcare system, right, that we have today. That you don't need to use your wallet, your credit card, to pay for healthcare in this country. So for me, it is that kind of really big impact is what I hope to be able to do. I think I mentioned I worked with Anna Bilau at Toronto City Hall, and I learned quite a bit from her. Very pragmatic. Wanting to get things done. Not in politics to say, look at me, I'm important, but in politics to say, how do we solve the challenges that we're facing right now? And at a minimum, how do we move it in the right direction? And that means talking to everybody. I talk to folks on the right, I talk to folks on the left. And I'll work with anybody because I don't think anybody has a monopoly on a good idea. So I kind of bring, Anna's approach to politics now of my own. And I worked with her for 4 years, right? So I really got to see that up close. And that formed a lot of my thinking of what it takes to be a good MPP, right? What it takes to be a good representative in the legislature. So there's that. And I mean, there's so much more, right? I think we can always, pick from a whole bunch of other pieces. But at the end of the day, for me, it's really impact and looking at, people in the province. When Dalton McGuinty was the premier, for example, more than 15 years ago, probably 20-something years ago now. And, now we don't have coal-fired generating plants, right, in the province anymore. We have full-day kindergarten, right? Really important things for child development or our health. When it came to no more coal-fired plants, we don't really have smog days anymore, right? The air quality is better, right? And I think that's better for everyone at the end of the day. So, that's what I believe in. That's what I'm kind of focused on is how do we solve these big challenges? And I don't have all the solutions. And I recognize that, right now I'm in opposition, right? So I don't have the same, power that you might in government, but the power that I do have is my voice and being able to speak up, to talk to others and go to the media as well.
Yes, and this is important to people to know that sitting in the government, even in the opposition, doesn't mean that you don't have the right voice. The power-wise, yes, it's less power, but leadership.
Exactly.
What I'm feeling by observing in past 20 to 25 years, the leaders we had, like Prime Minister Pearson, that you mentioned, they did some concrete work, which set the foundation of Canada where we stand, and we haven't broken as much as our neighbor did, and currently is doing right now.
It's a big challenge right now.
Big challenge. So with this, we want you to be next Prime Minister, next, Mr. Pearson. It starts with this scale. You are scaling your, scaling up.
I think it starts with community. So, when I enter the legislature, the issues that I talk about, it's what does Ajax need and how do we do that at the province?
Correct.
So the GO train is a good example of that. I'm bringing back Express GO service because it hasn't existed now for more than the past 4 years. It was supposed to come back last year. It's still not back. So that's something that I'm focusing on and pushing on. Right? So it's how do I bring Ajax's voice into the legislature? I hear a lot from small businesses. So proposing to, cut the small business tax rate in half. which could save a small business up to $18,000 a year. So that's kind of my focus, is how do I bring the issues and concerns that I hear from the people that I work on behalf of, from my constituents, into Queen's Park.
Very good. And you're doing a good job on that one. So tell me about GO Train that you talked about. I'm not aware of it because I live in Ajax, work in Ajax, so I don't take GO Train. So what is it about?
So right now we have the Lakeshore East line, so it runs from kind of Union Station all the way out to Oshawa. And there was an express GO train that used to exist before the pandemic. And then during the pandemic, that train got cut. It got cut because they were doing construction on the line, and I think there was ridership as well. So now it's not back. And the promise was that it would be back in 2014. It's not back yet. And it's being delayed. And frankly, to me, that's unacceptable. That is one of the biggest issues that I hear from folks who are commuters, who are coming into Toronto every day to go work in an office downtown. And now these offices downtown, they're saying, we want employees in the office. Well, great. But now the train's got to work in order to serve that as well, right?
True.
And it's not. So when I get a message and a photo from a constituent, 5:30 p.m. train coming back that's standing remotely from Union, we've got a problem. So that's what my focus is going to be, is to push to improve that service so that people can get home quicker and get to work quicker, so they can spend more time with their family.
Okay. Through this podcast, what challenges that you're facing and what help you would need from your constituency and from your writing and people from generally homeowners or small businesses to help you out? Tell us openly.
So I want to hear what the issues are. I want to hear what is on top of people's minds. So, during the election campaign, one of the issues that came up quite a bit at the doors was property taxes. So that issue came up quite a bit. Now, it's not directly a provincial issue, right? Because property taxes are administered by the region and the town, right? The municipality at the end of the day in order to fund the services that they provide. But if we go back through the history of that, we go back to 97. So now we're talking almost 30 years ago. Services that were provincial were downloaded onto municipalities. So earlier we spoke about municipalities, the region being responsible for social housing and being the service manager for it. Well, that was downloaded back then. And now the municipality is paying for some of that through the property taxes, as opposed to at the provincial level through the sales tax and the income tax that's collected that grows with the economy. Property tax doesn't grow with the economy. It goes up every year because the municipality is like, well, we need to make sure we balance our budget because they have to.
Correct.
By law, a municipality has to balance its budget. So I believe we need to go back and provide a lot more support for municipalities and cover those funding gaps, because some of these programs are almost wealth redistribution programs. Property tax was not designed to pay for those kinds of things. The income tax was, and the sales tax was, though, right? So that is something that I've heard a bit, and it's not something that will get fixed overnight, quite frankly. And in 4 years, should I have the privilege of being in government? I can't say that it's just going to be completely perfect now, right? But the province needs to take a much greater leadership role in that, and in funding those services at the municipal level, so that the pressure to increase property taxes is diminished, is reduced, essentially.
I agree with you, and I hear that a lot too. Property taxes are going up and up, and is going on a premium rate while the city is
$10,000. So literally, I'm in North Ajax, $10,000, $12,000 a year. That's a lot of money. Now, if you're buying a house today, you're going to be factoring that into your calculations, right? At least I would hope that you are, right? If you're buying a house today and making that decision. But if you've owned that home for 5 years, so what I hear is, well, 5 years ago it was 7,000, 8,000, now it's 10, now it's 11, now it's 12. So that's challenging. That's really challenging for that individual, because maybe their income hasn't gone up enough, or maybe somebody bought 20 years ago, and they were able to afford that then. They probably wouldn't be able to afford to buy their house today. Maybe they're on a fixed income or a senior, right? How do you pay for that, right? It's hard. It's really, really hard. And you might have some equity in your home, But you're not going to be able to tap into your equity just to pay for the property taxes.
Correct.
Right?
Like it doesn't work.
So I think I can't say that it's just going to go down, but we really need to limit those pressures on it and provide some relief for homeowners. I mean, 85% of Ajax are homeowners.
Yes. And what happened with the property taxes? Yes, they need to adjust it with the inflation and all that. They need to settle down. But after the COVID, we're seeing the spike on things which we never seen before. But we also need to be realistic with the economical situation we are in, with the tariff situation we are in. So pausing it, it's not going to work. But if guarantee it is not going to raise, help the homeowners to build another another floor or the basement and stuff like that, which they can be able to accommodate a few rooms for, and then can reduce the load on the homelessness situation. So there's a bigger economical impact.
Absolutely.
Now, John Henry, I did the podcast with him too, same in the same room. He said the reason we have to do it because this has become the only source of income for the region.
Correct.
And if we're going to provide the solutions and where are we going to get the money?
Well, exactly.
And we are asking the money from the province. Province don't have it. Yep. And then we are saying let the federal government release the money. So we can not be able to do it. So they're not releasing the money. So they are in the bottleneck situation. And
the region and the town are then in a tough position, especially the region. Yes. And one of the other cost drivers of the region is policing.
Yes.
So the police budget is going up year after year.
Yeah.
Because Durham region's growing, we do need more police. The crime situation is getting different.
Yes.
With body worn cameras and other things that I think are important things that the police have. It also takes more time and money, right, to do those things. And some of the requirements now that the police has to do is again driven by the province. So I had one of the councillors reach out to me recently to say, well, the province is requiring the police to do a lot more things, but there's no extra money there. And again, it goes on the back of property taxpayers.
Correct.
So in Ajax and in Durham region, property tax is a big challenge. Mm-hmm. You know what? If you're in the city of Toronto, it's actually not. Mm-hmm. Property taxes are much lower in the city of Toronto. And that's partially because they're just such a bigger city. Mm-hmm. So they're getting more, benefits of the scale, right? Scale benefits at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. But that's something else, right, that we're seeing. So we shouldn't be really carrying the burden of all of that here in Durham region, especially for programs, like social housing, which are in essence wealth redistribution programs. Property tax was designed to fund your basic services. And you know what, if the municipality wants to say, well, we want to provide free recreation for seniors, for example, or things, well, that would come out of the property tax. Okay. Mm-hmm. And they can make that decision. And ultimately, you've got elections every 4 years. Mm-hmm. You're electing a regional council, a municipal council, to then tell them what your priorities are and vote for candidates that align with that.
Correct. So municipal and regional councillors do work hard and they work on this too. But at the end of the day, we need some creative ideas to have the income generation for the municipalities and the region. And Toronto is doing a very good job because it is a bigger city, but it's also attracting the bigger investment too. For instance, just last year's plan, they're going to build the Rogers Center, Rogers Stadium, rather.
That's what the temporary stadium is.
That's becoming a very fruitful for the city, bringing top entertainers coming in and performing. And this is summer, it's generating a lot of money for the city. What we needed is some kind of big event. Now we have Pickering did a good job.
So on the events, you really get with the casino, absolutely.
Yeah.
But on some of the big events, a lot of the revenue from that is sales tax. Mm-hmm. It's actually not going to the municipality. So at Rogers Stadium, I don't think the municipality is getting very much from that, but it's the ticket sales, it's the other pieces that go into the sales tax. I think there might be a municipal and entertainment tax on it as well. I think that they may be able to get something, if I remember correctly, on that. Really, the way here in Ajax and Durham region is diversifying kind of the land use that we have right now. So I'm going to give you a really good example as well. We're Hunt Street. So we're right next to Hunt Street, where we're filming right now at the Work Hub. And the town had submitted an application to the province for funding to do the infrastructure work necessary on Hunt Street to both do the kind of the sewer, the water stuff, and extend the street out so it connects all the way down at Westney, so from Harwood to Westney.
Good.
And that would then be able to unlock new development and opportunity in the downtown area. So when you have more commercial, when you have more industrial, you're actually now collecting more property tax on that. So it actually is one way as well to help limit the increases of property tax.
Yes.
Is some of that kind of development. So the town made that submission to the province, and the province said no.
And why is that?
I don't know why. I wish I knew why they said no. But they said no. Next door in Whitby, they got it. And I don't want to pit Ajax versus Whitby, right? Yeah. But the province said no. And this is, the town of Ajax has done a really good job of trying to meet its housing targets. The town of Ajax has worked really hard to say, look, you know what, we're going to have, more development. We're going to have more homes being built, because something I hear a lot from young people in their 20s is, well, I can't afford to buy anything, right? So the town of Ajax is doing, and then they got told no by the province. So there'll be another opportunity for the province to consider that again coming up. And my hope is this time that they approve that. So I'll be advocating on that. I know the town's advocating on that as well, because if that work ends up happening, then you're able to unlock the potential of some of the lands down here to do even more. I would love to see a day where we've got commuters from Toronto coming into Ajax to work.
Yes.
I would love to see 4 or 5 story light industrial buildings.
Yes.
Right? That you're able to do some manufacturing and craftsmanship and other things in those buildings right here in Ajax.
Yes.
And if those buildings get built, that's going to be more property tax. That's going to put the burden on property taxpayers right now, homeowners.
Yeah.
It's going to reduce that burden that they're facing.
Yeah.
That's one way to diversify the economy and deal with it.
This is a very good solution, and I always praise the town of Ajax planning from from early time. Mr. Parrish did a very good job. The first mayor of Ajax, I believe, for protecting our waterfront, as well as the city planners did a great job. If you see the I filmed the aerial shot with my drone of the Harvard Avenue. I'll share with you.
Absolutely.
It looks majestic.
It does.
So with
Especially
that,
looking down at the lake.
Yeah,
that's my favorite part.
And we tried Pat Bailey Square as a rental property, but the mixed commercial hub. So with this, we can be able to build more condominiums. And our mayor is doing a very good job by opening up new buildings, new units coming up on Bailey Street and a couple of other places too, which I see very good. But I also see the congestion is happening too. Yeah. So opening up and widening the Hunter Street will definitely benefit.
It'll help with the circulation, right? Especially in the downtown area. Yeah. And really part of the other solution then is transit.
Yeah.
And if we start doing more of that, you're going to be able to run more transit there and provide different options for people. Ideally, especially with new development, you want complete communities where people can kind of live, work, and play within walking distance.
Correct.
Right? If you've got to drive, no problem. Cool. Right? But ideally, if you can just walk down the street, go to the store, go to the grocery store, go to a restaurant, right? In some of the new development areas, right? I think that helps add to the town itself. And I think we've got to, understand that, development needs to be responsible. Development needs to fit in with communities. And I think that's something else that, we can't forget about. Now, that those areas really are on the town at the end of the day to do that kind of planning and work. I just know from my own experience working in different municipality of some of the challenges and opportunities with that as well. So the town is leading. And my role as a member of provincial parliament is to listen to my constituents and also try and support the town as much as possible, because people are electing people on council and the mayor to work on their behalf as well. So I need to also respect that.
Yes. And I think with the town and with your leadership, we're going to see very good changes in Ajax.
I hope so.
And I'm happy about it, and I'm supporting about it. And this is the level of confident speaking and the professional podcasting to get the word out there.
Absolutely.
To help people understand, because not a lot of time that you can be able to sit down and have this professional discussion very openly. So I'm very glad that we are doing this. With this particularly Harness Street, I'm really interested in supporting, and we have our neighbor city would be approved those kind of proposals. So why not, like, a province is doing it, and if we need to set an example, we need to see the city of Mississauga, which is not in Toronto but close to Toronto, and look at their downtown divisions on the streets, and they make not only great set of condominiums, but it becomes like mixed community too, and their center area. They every weekend they hold the activities there. People come in and they not only work, live, but they also get entertained same time. So we need to adopt from there, and our Mayor Sean Collier do a good job and using his mayoral power to opening the land, and he is doing the advocacy about those property owners who's just holding the land but not opening for the development, to just encourage them. Do something about it. But province needs to work one-on-one and understand.
And I think it's important, right, that members of council, all of them have the opportunity though to be able to contribute and participate in those discussions as well. As I said, Ajax is doing a really good job of trying to meet the targets that the province is setting for them. They should be rewarded for it at the end of the day.
Sure. It's a collaboration between all parties and all level of governments, and it's time to get the action done.
Exactly.
And our economical situation is going through the turmoil with the United States policies and all that, but we can regain within Canada, opportunities.
I think so.
To do it better. My next question to you is, Rob, is transition from local to professional into the public service. Just give us a little bit those transitional history.
So because I was working as a consultant, I actually finished one of my last client deliverables the day the election started. So, then I just didn't take on any additional clients at that time, and had the privilege of being supported by the residents of Ajax to be elected. So that was a pretty easy transition. Other people sometimes, right, you've got to, quit your job, put in the notice, go through all of that process.
Yes.
In this case, it was a little bit simpler because I was my own working for myself, essentially. And you actually become the MPP on election night. So you start office the day you're elected.
Really? How does it work?
That's technically how it works. So then you're like the MPP elect, the member elect.
Okay.
And you get sworn in a bit later. But you actually start functioning already as the MPP right away. Now, the main role of an MPP is to sit in the legislature, right, and to vote and debate on legislation and really big issues, right, that are facing the province. But as well, you would have to set up a constituency office, right, and a whole bunch of other things. So, there it was telling folks, hey, please be patient because I have to hire staff. Like, it's starting a small business, essentially.
True.
So I have to hire staff. I have to find an office space. I have to buy equipment and materials and all of these things and a website and set everything up so that we can effectively serve the community. So for that short amount of time, it was telling folks, hey, please be patient, right? And then with the federal election that happened not too long after, then it created, people trying to reach out federally and certain issues, once they're in election period, because they deal with a lot of immigration cases, those just halt. Because if there's no member of parliament, those issues don't end up actually, you can't advocate for it at the member of parliament's office federally. So they would be reaching out to us and we'd say, sorry, but here's the situation, right? Please be patient and then kind of work through it. So then after the federal election that took place not long after, the MP's offices aren't fully set up yet. So somebody came to us with a really serious and urgent case because unfortunately some people had passed away. They were involved in an accident and sadly passed away and needed to bring folks from another country to come to the funeral. Just to come to the funeral, right? To give the family some support there. So, thankfully through myself and my office, we had some relationships and connections with other MPs. So we were able to do that through them and help get those folks here to come to the funeral and then go back to their home after. So the transition is, always challenging. I'd worked in politics before, right? So, the office and the needs are pretty familiar to me. So there wasn't that much of a learning curve there. It was more sitting in the legislature and understanding, how the procedure works. It's a very formal place, the legislature, almost too formal in some ways. I like being able to do this, right, and have a conversation. There, it's very structured.
Wow.
So yeah,
I'm liking, you are breaking the ice.
Yeah.
It needs to break up because I think the times are gone. When you wear the suit and tie and 3-piece or 4-piece,
I don't usually wear this in Saturdays, to be honest. I wore this for you.
Okay, I'm glad. Let's. I don't want it to be too casual that you show up with the shorts, summer shorts, because it's summer kind of thing. Keep it semi-formal, but get into the action.
Yeah.
I think enough talk is done. Public is tired, and what also happening is a lot of nonsense from the politicians, especially from the U.S. government and all that is coming up, and with that they're throwing anything that get in their arsenal, and we are not defending ourselves. We just look at the text. So we wanted to put in the entertainment sector of those. Hulu, Netflix, and all that, digital service tax. And President Trump said no.
Yeah, and I think Mark Carney and the federal government, they have a lot of challenges to deal with right now. And, if we look at the latest letter President Trump sent to the Prime Minister, the punctuation and everything, I think he dictated it himself.
Yeah.
It was like one of his, posts on Truth Social or X, or, it was quite odd.
Yeah.
And I think what, we're all kind of seeing is they're playing a lot of games. They're not following through and everything, but it is impacting us, right? It's impacting businesses. So I've heard from businesses, right? Big manufacturers and small ones, they're not making the investments because they're waiting. They're waiting to see, and that's going to be hurting them and their employees.
Correct.
Because they have to wait though,
right.
Because it's such an uncertain environment. Or
You're
smaller right. ones that rely more on the U.S. closing down. Yeah. So that's something that's very real, and the impact is there. And so I'm very concerned. And we had the provincial election where Doug Ford ran to protect Ontario, but we're seeing businesses close, right? And there isn't a jobs plan, there isn't an economic plan that we're seeing from the government to actually address it. Manufacturing is closing. There are plants that are closing. Businesses are being shuttered. And this is where I go, there's a lot of talk and not enough action. Sometimes, maybe it's easy for me to say that because I'm opposition. But, if you're going to say we're going to protect Ontario and we're going to do it, then protect Ontario. I don't see that happening right now, quite frankly. And that's a little bit frustrating for me. Yes, I guess I was a beneficiary because then I get to sit in the legislature. But now I get to add this perspective to these issues. And as Ontario Liberals, we now have party status. So we have more time in the legislature, more ability to raise these kinds of things, as opposed to what it was the past 6 years before, where it was really the main two parties were just the NDP and the Conservatives. Where the NDP would, they would say a lot of the same things. Now we add a different perspective to the legislature. And it's interesting, speaking to media and other people that watch it, they're very happy, actually, that we do have party status because we add a different perspective. We're bringing different issues up, which is making the government think more and the public think more as well.
You're raising a very good point, and I'm liking it. You're touching that. Now, with the Raw Ford, he's making some policies which are not making people happy, and he's cutting the funding and all that. And at the end of the day, factories are closing down. So where do you encourage the businesses to do it? Businesses are in the business to make money. They're not running for profit. And as a consultant, that's their bottom line. They don't make money. They don't invest. So how do we make the environment sustainable, attractful, and easy for them to invest? And the governments, when they compete within the governments, businesses don't like it.
Yeah.
So we want you to stability. Plus, we want you to show shaking hands. When Raw Ford met with Mark Carney, at the local restaurant, and talk about it, people like it.
Absolutely.
There was a lot of praise into that. And thanks to Mark Carney too, for a meeting our premier. But on the same time, I was sad, the conservative leader didn't, Pierre Poilievre, not end up, shaking hands and meeting. And that's frustrating, to the public, what's going on.
I agree. I think the public expects us all to work together and talk and in the Ontario legislature, I'm not seeing that very much right now between the government, because it's really incumbent on them to be able to interact and reach out. We're asking, but they're not doing it. Because we're dealing with probably one of the biggest potential economic challenges, probably since the recession that we had in 07, 08, right? The financial crisis. Like, this is the next moment, right? That could be really damaging and challenging for our economy. I think it's really important that even if you've got a majority government, that you're working with the other parties to really have a Team Ontario approach. That's what we're advocating for and asking. And if they do it, I hope they do. But if they don't, we'll hold them to account on that as well, because that's how our system works.
And that's how the business should work too. At the end of the day, you say that, like, it's like, setting up the, new office and new corporation and setting it up. And all, municipal level and regional level, all these are the organizations running their own budgeting and all that. So let's do the, political business like a business. Let's make our Ontario province profitable once and for all. It's the biggest and most populous
our debt
province.
Has gone up quite a bit in the last 7 years. And never has a government spent so much and delivered so little in our province's history. So I think it's going to come for a reckoning one day on us, and we've got to be able to grow the economy to pay for the services that we need, but we do need those services.
We do need those services, sir, and we do also need to take the toll off of 407 and make it fully open. That's also, I want you to
So it's interesting, the 407. So the publicly owned portion is Brock Road East, right? So in Durham region, essentially. So I advocated quite strongly around that to take the tolls off of that, because the province owns that highway already. Not that many people were using it. And so I advocated, and the province, and they made a commitment as well to do it. So I said, don't delay, do it now. And they did it. I think the privately owned 407 is going to be a lot more challenging. And the reason why I say that is it's worth $40 billion now. So it's held by a private company. They had a 99-year concession, a 99-year lease that was given out by a previous Conservative government here in Ontario for a pretty low sum of a couple billion dollars. Now it's worth $40 billion. So for the province to buy that back, that's going to be a lot of money.
Correct.
I don't know if that's the right solution or not. I think we need to look at the business case and really go into the numbers there and what might be the most cost effective. Could it be having more truck traffic right on it to take it off the 401 to ease some of that pressure? Maybe, right? Could it be expanding that 407 more? Maybe, right? I think we've got to look at that and what experts and what the cost benefit analysis is, because $40 billion is a lot of money, and we can do a lot of other things on transportation for $40 billion.
Correct.
Including having the Go Lakeshore East line electrified. So putting electric trains on it. Because then you can run trains every 5 minutes or less.
Exactly.
So imagine the Go line working now like a surface subway. But with the same stop lengths, right, that we have right now. You don't need to check the schedule anymore. You can just get on the train.
Every 5 minutes
right? To make it a lot easier. And other areas as well within. So it's really a question of money, because there isn't unlimited money as well. As much as I would love to see the 407 free, I think it could be a big challenge as well to do. So we really need to look at the numbers on that. So I don't know what the right solution is. I'm going to be very honest about it. Interested in other people's perspectives, absolutely. But the problem now is because it was sold off, because it's owned privately, the ability for the province to do something is very limited.
Yes.
You can buy it back.
You're right.
It's $40 billion.
Yeah, it's
a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, and the money
is
not
schools,
coming in.
It's a lot of hospitals. It's a lot of trains. A lot of new Go lines.
A lot of funding for autistic programs
well, that
too.
As well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think we've got to look at what the cost benefit is on that, and what is the best solution, and how to do that. Because what we see right now is the provincial government makes a lot of announcements. We're going to build this new line, do this, but the projects don't get finished. They talk a lot, they don't do a lot.
Look at the Metrolinx.
Yep.
It's not a very good thing. It's actually a disaster.
I'm concerned, and I'm concerned because we saw a report recently where they were actually planning on the electrification and the expansion of the GO train system and all of that, and people at Metrolinx were fighting with each other about it, and they were fighting with the contractor that they hired to do the work. And I don't, did they not set at the start, 1, 2, 3, here's what we want to do, here's the goal? Because it seems like they were going in circles over many years. So now what happens is it costs more to do these projects, and people wait longer in traffic and wait longer for the train. That's not okay.
There's also a wording into the industry too. Are we hiring too many consultants or too many unqualified consultants or causing delays?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but what I do know is that the cost of major infrastructure projects keep on going up and up. And it's a little concerning because if we go look at Europe, for example, so Spain, France, anywhere, a lot of places in Europe, they're a Western country as well, right? You know, similar kind of systems, right? Similar types of costs. But explain to me why in some jurisdictions there, they can build a subway for half the cost than we build here. There's a disconnect. It could be consultants. It could be how we're doing it. There's a big disconnect there. And I think from a provincial perspective and a federal and a public infrastructure perspective in this country, we've got to do a lot more digging about why is that the case and how do we start bringing down the cost of these projects and speed them up. Like there's some sort of disconnect there because they're building them faster and it's costing less. Why is that?
Is the shadowing effect of economical and environmental situation they're taking in account for and then adding it in as their increased hours and billables?
But potentially, it could very well be that. And it's interesting if you look at some of these places in Europe, they're a lot older cities than here in Toronto or the GTA. And there's archaeological, there's a lot. And again, they're doing it cheaper. And they're delivering a better product. That's a problem.
We need to start thinking beyond the Western countries mindset. Let's look at the China. Don't tell me it's in Asia. Don't tell me
I think we need to look everywhere. And what are the best practices and what is working very well. We also want a good quality product, right?
Yeah.
But we got to see what's working well. And that's something that I'm not seeing I'm only seeing the start of these discussions, especially in actually the infrastructure sector. I have many friends that work in it. And they've shared with me some reports and articles digging into this. I think there's more work that we need to do to dig into it, but there's some disconnect. And we've got to figure out what that gap is and fix it because, for the Scarborough subway, that was originally going to cost $2 billion, it's now going to cost $10 billion.
Yes.
It's
double up. It's double up. It's ridiculous. You're throwing the numbers like you're gambling. It's a business. It's people's money that you're managing.
It's the taxes that we pay.
Exactly.
We need to have value for money on that. We need to do more, absolutely, but there needs to be value
in what
we do as well.
We need to do what the military does. I need this done in this amount of resources and this amount of time frame. So, we need to set the boundaries in a way. So within the consultant, that's my recommendation is simply put the cost. This is a $2 million for the consulting and planning and approvals, and this is 60 days. Get it done or not. Whoever accept that is going to be, a lower cost. People need to come from the heart rather than the need. If I would do it, I will reduce my billable to half to support. This is the public money that we're managing it, and I'm gonna increase my hours non-billable just to do it as a volunteer. And I will tell the the policymakers to just give me the letter of thank you saying I did put 50 hours as a volunteer. So those kind of consulting your needs. That who getting affected, rather their corporation ratio or their billable higher.
We need value for money at the end of the day. And
and we need results too. Results
100%.
Where are those consulting firms who are saying why didn't I just
so there's
names?
Some that were working for Metrolinx and the contract was canceled because it was costing too much. We've seen this time and time again, and there's got to be better controls from a provincial standpoint on it. But I think the larger conversation is we've got to figure out how to reduce the cost of these projects. Otherwise, they're not going to get built. And they're not the public gets upset about it, and rightfully so. I get upset about it too. It's my money too.
we all get infected. Don't think like, it is not affecting you and I. It is all affecting everyone.
We're the same. I might sit in the legislature. We're the same.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for saying this, and thank you for be truthful and be blunt about it. It is time that we don't sugarcoat things. Like we all like in having our lives, our family, our children. You don't have a children yet, but one day you will. But they're gonna face the problem. So what we need to do
My nieces and nephews will.
You got it. And we need to think beyond political terms. We, 4 years or 8 years don't matter.
100%.
We need to think in our lifetime and in our generation. Everyone needs to start thinking in 400 years. Otherwise, we're not going to move forward.
Absolutely.
So thank you, Rob. It's going great. I'm loving it. My next question to you is, what were the key issue residents raised at the door in Ajax?
The number one issue, and we spoke about it earlier, was property taxes. That was something that came up, and I think we spoke about some solutions around there. Definitely the GO train was another issue that we heard quite a bit at the doors. The environment, the green belt, ensuring that we're protecting our environment. That's something that Ajax is really proud of. Is protecting the environment. So that's something that I heard quite a bit and I'm committed to working on as Member of Provincial Parliament and advocating. And so one of the last things that there was so many more, but I'll leave it at healthcare and the hospital. It's something that came up quite a bit where people were talking to me with concerns about the level of care at the hospital, wait times at the hospital, and which is kind of indicative of the bigger challenges that we're facing in the healthcare sector. 2.5 million Ontarians don't have a family doctor. It's a big issue. And if folks have a family doctor and they have the ability to go to walk-in clinics and get care outside of the emergency department, it's going to help reduce the ER wait times. So that's something that during the campaign I spoke quite a bit about, and Ontario Liberals we spoke quite a bit about in calling for, our plan was to ensure that everybody gets a family doctor within 4 years. So those were some of the issues that I heard at the door. There's always more, of course. There's issues that don't have to do with the province that come up as well, right? Of course, but those were some of the more main provincial issues that came up, and also kind of dealing with the growth, right, that we're facing here in Ajax, and we spoke about a little bit of the growth and the pressures and how to kind of rectify some of that with, in downtown and in other areas to address property taxes. And the last thing that I think I'll mention then was support for children with autism. So that's something that I was a little surprised that it came up the door as much as it did, and it came up from parents that have a kid with autism, and multiple, and whether it was in a building, whether it was a house, didn't matter. It came up multiple times during the campaign, and the concern over the long wait list to access care, because when my philosophy to government is doing the right thing, but also doing the smart thing. And in this case here, the smart thing is actually to make those investments now and ensure that if you're a kid with autism, you're not waiting 4 years. You get that care right away and the treatment right away, because we know with children with autism, if you're able to get the ABA therapy and the support right away, it's going to improve your speech, it's going to improve everything. And then later on, as a government, we don't actually have to pay in order to help support that person later in life. The hardest part of my job is when I'm talking to a parent of a adult now who has developmental disabilities, and they say to me, I don't know what's going to happen when I die. What's going to happen to my kid? That is the most difficult thing that I have heard multiple times now as an MPP. And we've got to do a lot more to help prevent that situation from happening in the first place and ensure that people have the ability to operate almost independently. Because if we do that stuff early, we're going to be able to do that a lot more. And it's going to help reduce people's stress. And it's not a burden, but the challenge is, right, that they're going to take care of their kid until they die because it's their kid.
Exactly.
They care about their kid, but they worry about what's going to happen after. So we've got to do whatever we can to help those people now. That's something that I made a commitment, regardless of if we formed a government or not, or what portfolios I have or not, I'm going to advocate for those folks, because it's the right thing to do, and it's the smart thing to do.
Thank you, sir. And God bless you for this. And this is a very sensitive topic, and it is related directly to me. So I'm going to also request, because my younger one is autistic. And really, our family was worried, what's going to happen. And Rob Ford cut the fundings, and it hurts the families, and the therapy, ABA therapy, and all those therapies are needed. Speech pathologists and everyone is needed. We need help. And with this thing, they need to understand, if they don't help them now, they may end up on the homeless if the caretaker dies, parents dies, guardian dies.
Or institutionalized.
Exactly.
In literally a long-term care institutional facility. Where it's not a great place to be.
It's not. It's burden on society.
And it's about people's dignity.
Correct.
As well. And if we don't help those that need that help when they need it, we are failing as a society, quite frankly. We are failing. And if we do, it's going to save us money in the long run. It's actually the smart thing to do financially.
As a business,
as just have to think 20 years down the road.
Yes.
It's not going to help tomorrow financially.
Yes.
20 years down the road, 30 years down the road as a province, we're going to save money,
Correct.
a lot more money than we had to spend at the outset, if we do those things now.
I couldn't agree more, and I totally support you on that. And I'm so happy, and I'm so glad, Rob, someone we got it from the business background is coming in on this MPP Ajax position, and you're thinking business-wise. And yes, I need profits, less losses, and I need to oversee, what is going to work on the long term.
What's the impact?
Exactly.
What's the impact that's happening?
Because
the province now, so what happened with autism services, and I'm sure you know it, I don't think you need to explain it to you, but for maybe our viewers, is that in 2018, when the new government came in, there was a program that was starting to work, and they blew it up. They blew it up completely, and it caused a lot of chaos in the system. So now what I hear from advocates is, with the program that's now in place, is don't blow it up, make it better. It's more money, but it's also how it's delivered. So that's now what I'm hearing. So I said to them, if I'm there and we're in government, I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure it works better.
Correct. Not
to just create more chaos and blow it up again. We've got to get the wait list down. There shouldn't be a wait list at the end of the day. Or if there is, maybe it's 3 months, maybe it's short.
Yes.
Right? Because right now it's not working. And the province did add more funding. I asked a question in the legislature on this, actually. Calling on the province to increase the funding, and they did actually. They increased it in this last budget by about $80 million. Not enough, but they increased it. But there's still problems with the program. So it's great. It's welcome. I'll give them credit for increasing it and listening to advocates to increase it, but now they got to fix the other parts of the program and come up with a way to get that wait list down to zero.
Yes.
Because it needs to be, because kids on that wait list, every day is going to impact them in the future.
Okay, I will give you insightful knowledge why the waitlist needs to be very, very shrink, and the urgency of approval of the funding is needed. If the treatment doesn't start right after the diagnostics, the problem is the first 5 years treatment usually diagnostics actually takes time. So 1.5 to 2 years, you start to see the symptoms, and your general physician recommend it for the assessment. After the assessment get done and this diagnosed the child is on the spectrum, the treatment needs to be start ASAP. If it takes 2 to 3 years to get the funding approved, kids at 2 years age reach 4 years, and 5 years of the early childhood are the best time to start the treatment. So I'm giving you the insightful things. I'm willing to write some advices for you, because I'm the resident and I also have a child who's autistic, so I can openly advocate about it. So please count me in those things. And we need to push it to the next level, and we need to say this is a common sense and this is a right sense. We need to build those two entities, common sense and a right sense. Conservative was talking about it, but we need to do it respectfully and carefully, in a sense 100%. That it fits for the government. But let's do the right thing.
The cost of inaction is huge.
Absolutely. Yeah. My next question to you is, what did the campaign teach you about the community needs?
I mean, I think we touched on a lot of it. It was what we heard at the doors, and I had a very locally focused campaign. I had members of my campaign team that were all local as well. And we really listened to the residents and came up with a 5-point plan, which was, it was the GO train, it was healthcare, it was addressing homelessness, it was protecting the environment, and it was building schools and supporting education. So those are the 5 kind of points that we focused on during the campaign. And then as well, provincial involvement around property tax. So that's what we campaigned on. And I mean, now I'm continuing to listen and continuing to work on behalf of the community. We've had some successes. We've had the opportunity I have had the ability quietly behind the scenes, because even though, sometimes you see on TV, Queen's Park, it's very oppositional, right? There's different parties, a question period. It's the reason why it's called question period and not answer period. There's not that many answers that are given there, but, we ask the questions and try and hold the government to account. But behind the scenes, sometimes there actually is some collegiality. There is some relationship building that is going on between members of different parties. So I don't want to make it just sound like it's us versus them and that's it. There is some collaboration behind the scenes. And I'll give an example. I can't get into the specifics, but there's an organization that was, they were worried about their funding because if they didn't get the funding, they'd have to lay off a lot of their staff. And they reached out to me, and I went to the minister and I said, you've got a big problem here. If they don't receive the funding, and this isn't happening for the other organizations in this sector across the province, they're going to have to lay off their staff. And it's going to be a media issue, and it's going to be bad for you. It's going to be bad for the people that are getting the support from this program. So I told the organization, hang on, let's see what we can do. The next day, they get their funding. And what I found out later is it's over 10 million. It was probably about 15, 16 million, I think, across the province of funding that got released because of my efforts behind the scenes.
Very good.
So that's part of the role as well, is doing that kind of work behind the scenes and building those relationships. I don't want to get into the specifics of kind of who or what, just in terms of the minister and the organizations. But that is an example of, I think, what we can achieve and accomplish. So maybe I don't get all this big public credit on it, but at the same time, we helped an organization receive the funding that they need in order to provide very important services that they're providing.
Rob, you're doing a good job. So don't do things to just impress people. Do things for the sake of change in the society and for the long term. Trust me, you don't get the reward in this lifetime maybe, but you will have the street name dedicated for you 30 years after.
It's okay. I don't need any of that. I don't care for that. I didn't run to say, look at me.
I appreciate that.
I don't care about
Very
that.
good. Very good. So you are truly genuine public leader, and I praise that.
That's what it's supposed to be.
And it's supposed to be. And you finally breaking the ice and opening up instead of having a politician tone. You're having a resident tone.
We're the same. We're all the same.
Thank you,
at the end of the day, right? And I think we need to remember that sometimes, and also that I might be on TV sometimes or in the legislature, but I mean, at the end of the day, we go to the same coffee shops, we go eat the same food, we go do all the same things.
Exactly.
We're not any different.
You're right.
It's just this is the role that I have right now that is hired once every 4 years. And, hopefully when the job review comes up in 4 years, that people will say, okay, I like he's doing a good job and I want him to continue working on our behalf.
Very good. Very good. So just lighten up the mode. I know you do a whole lot in your day, in a week, and even doing the podcast on the weekend, taking the time away from the family. So my question is, how did it feel sleeping into a newly elected role?
Oh,
that was the question. Sorry.
I mean, look, right? It's kind of excitement, challenge, stress, all of that.
You're right.
All together, right? At the end of the day, but every day I wake up, it's a privilege to be able to do this.
You're right.
When I walked in the legislature, the first, second time, you're there, and in that time we're listening to the speech from the throne, and I'm sitting there and I'm feeling the weight of the responsibility. Well, yes, I'm one vote in there. I'm one vote representing 120,000 plus people, to represent their voices, to represent their issues and concerns, and to listen and work on their behalf. So it's an immense privilege. I also don't know how long or short this will be, so I may as well have some fun too. You have to enjoy it, right?
Exactly.
You have to have fun because you don't want to be just serious and that's it, or sad and depressed, because they're really big and serious challenges, and I carry that weight with me.
Yes.
but I need to also try and find the fun in it.
Correct.
And enjoy the work, because if you don't enjoy the work, then it becomes a burden on you.
Correct.
It's not like the weight that I'm carrying, but it becomes like you're going to drag your feet, and you're not going to fight then for the people that.
You're right.
So you can't forget that.
Yeah.
And so every day I try and remember that.
Very good.
And even if it's one thing a day that I manage to do or accomplish for somebody, I think it's a victory.
Very good. Mental health is very important.
Yes.
So take care of that and take a good sleep.
Yeah.
I do have recommendation. Many times, like our constituency, politicians do work, but we don't see actively what they're advocating right now.
Yep.
What's the status of it? So if you can be able to put some kind of status label on your website, that we can be able to check, let's say quarterly or monthly.
Yep.
So it can say this is the portion of working you're working on, and this is the status, and expected time to be completed.
Yeah, so it's a little bit harder to do that because I don't control the levers of a lot of these things, right? So I'm not on the government side. So when it comes to the GO Train and Metrolinx, they've made commitments. I now need to hold them to those commitments. So what I do have is an e-newsletter that I'm building and growing, and I will be providing updates kind of on those issues through there. So it's not necessarily kind of my status, it's kind of their status of what they're doing and how I'm working with them or advocating or pushing or sometimes making it difficult.
Got it.
Right, for them to understand that I've got to move quicker on it. They've got to move quicker on it, right? So I'm doing something like that, but I think it's a good suggestion on how to try and and maybe I'll grade the government on it. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, you never know, and maybe you could be our next premier, which I wish, because the way you talk and the way you're giving the.
I'm still looking for the washrooms. I'm still finding the washrooms. I found the washrooms now, but
it's okay. It's
I'm
okay.
getting my feet wet.
Good job. So top concern, I think we already discussed housing, healthcare, affordability, property taxes, and GO Train. But one of the thing is the hospital is managed by the Lake Ridge.
That's right.
Lake Ridge in Ajax. Now the thing is, Lake Ridge is a separate organization, but it's of course funded by the Ontario government. But when I'm seeing the declining in the hospital quality compared to the previous management, it is quite a bit degraded. Wait times is up, but what's up with the cleaning? What's up with the security? What's up with the signing? These are the common things that needs to be overseen. I've seen the hospital quality degraded. So who do we approach to have this fix and look after?
So it's something that I hear quite a bit, and I look forward to being able to meet with Lake Ridge to discuss this and bring those concerns forward. I think two things. One, I think it's important to bring it up to the hospital, number one. And then number two, I think it's important to let me know. And for those of you listening in Pickering, Uxbridge, or in Whitby, right, let your MPP know as well.
Got it.
Because I think they need to hear it too. So that's something that I'll be bringing up with them, and hopefully they'll be able to make some improvements on it. But some of it also is the broader funding, right, that the province provides for the healthcare system, and how overburdened it is right now. And I don't blame the workers there because they're doing what they can in a very challenging situation. And nurses, for example, in particular, where this provincial government took nurses to court to try and stop them from earning a higher wage. And these are the same nurses that were caring for us during the pandemic and doing, in some ways, God's work there in the healthcare system, and they were treated very poorly. And we see the same thing with personal support workers and other people that are essential for our healthcare and our education systems to run. We've got to respect those workers at the end of the day, because now what we're seeing is nurses are leaving the profession. Teachers are leaving the profession. People who are PSWs are saying, I don't want to do this because I'm not respected and I'm not paid enough to do it. It's very difficult work. And that's my concern as well. So it cuts from a bunch of different ways. But I'll be bringing up those things in relation to the hospital with them directly, and look forward to hopefully speaking to workers there as well.
Thank you. Also, speaking of the teachers too, please understand, the teachers and hospital care staff, nurses and doctors are the core service providers, which
100%.
you engage regular basis,
100%.
more than the police and the fire.
Yep.
So, and again, on the long term, if they don't do their job well, it will have
They need to be
consequences
They need
in
to
the
be
society.
supported. And if we're not supporting them, the system's going to start cracking even more, because that's part of the problem right now that we're seeing in both healthcare and education. It's some of the reasons why I ran. I mean, my mom went through some health challenges, and I saw it, firsthand. She's okay now; everything's good. But I saw it firsthand, and it was a bit of an eye opener to me. You don't realize it sometimes unless you or a family member are dealing with it, and then it's like, holy smokes, we've got a problem here.
Maybe it's a God sign. God wanted you to see certain things, and meeting me today is also things too.
I'm only better with the people I meet and the people that I hear from, quite frankly, because I'm not perfect as well, and I always need to make sure I'm doing what I can within the power and ability that I have. So
thank you. You're doing a good job, sir. Thank you. Well done. So how do you stay connected with your constituents?
So a couple ways. Folks will contact my office. I'll meet with residents. I go to a lot of community events and activities, so I hear directly from people there. So at Canada Day, I was at the Legion talking to people at the Legion, and we talked about homelessness. We talked about some of the challenges, and it's important for me to sometimes be reminded about these issues, because they're in my head. But the more you hear about it from folks, the more focus then I can have on trying to address some of these challenges, because there's just so many things to work on or talk to about people. So I'll meet with constituents at the office. We recently did a coffee with the MPP event where we put it out to everybody. About 50 residents came to talk to me, to bring forward their issues or their thoughts on stuff. People will email my office and call. I'm happy to meet with anybody. I'm happy to talk to anybody at the end of the day. I think it's really important there. And I'm going to be continuing that work. I'll be knocking on doors soon as well. I think it's the responsibility of somebody who's elected to not just show up during election time, but to show up in between as well.
Very good. And I've never seen or heard the elected member is knocking on the doors and just walking casually until the next election comes.
It should be.
So very good. And count me in, request me, to come by and happy to come as a volunteer, supporting you and buy you some, ice caps. Working across the aisle in collaboration, working with the possible polarized political climate. How does it work for you?
So, you see the stuff on Question Period in the media, but, there's events at Queen's Park, there's receptions, in the hallway. There is the opportunity to engage, and I'm building good relationships with people on the government side and people who are NDP as well. I actually, when I entered Queen's Park, because I had been involved in politics before, I actually know some of these people already, which I think as well is a bit of a benefit. So the barriers are not nearly as much there for me as opposed to maybe somebody else who might be new. So I think that collaboration is possible. And I think I had mentioned, we were able to unlock funding for organizations. And, I'm trying to build good relationships as much as possible to then bring forward issues. Because look, I could say, I'll wait 4 years and then try and do it if we win a government. But that's 4 years is too late. I ran to get stuff done. And even if I can get stuff done and not get all the credit for it, I don't care. Because there'll be other things to do. There'll be other things to work on. Because the way our country is built and society is built, there's always building blocks.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
There's always more to do. There's always, more that we can do for people. And so, yeah.
That's great. And you're just focused on the society growth rather than looking after only your job sector, so which I'm liking. So you're good, you're focused, and you're visionary. So thank you, Rob, for that. Okay, my next question to you is how you as a new MPP bringing the new changes in your legislation? So
I'm one of the younger MPPs. I'm in my late 30s.
Okay.
There's actually some that are younger than me that are on the conservative side. But I'm one of the younger MPPs in the legislature, so I'm bringing the perspective of folks of my generation who are more millennials, and dealing with challenges like housing, right, and affordability, and trying to propose and push on solutions for them using video. As well, my social media, which is Rob #4 Ajax, Rob for Ajax on Instagram, Facebook, and X, Twitter, on there. So it's social media. It's trying to also explain some of the issues that are going on, because sometimes they're hard to understand. So I try and use my social media to do that. And also update folks about what I'm doing and the questions that I'm asking in the legislature and the work I'm doing as well in the community. I think it's important for folks to be able to see that, because I'm out there almost every day. It's whether it's in the community, whether it's meeting with folks. So yeah.
That's great. That's great. So my next question to you, how do you balance work-life balance?
It's hard. It's hard. I'm very big on my schedule. So if something's in the schedule, I tend to do it, but I'm very intentional about my schedule as well. As much as I would like to be at every single thing, like I do need to have some time, right, with my family. Right, and all of that. So I try and build in some of those blocks to do it. So sometimes if I can't go to an event, I'll tell the event organizer, so hey, I'm happy to meet. Right? I don't need to speak in front of the crowd of 100 people sometimes. Why don't we just meet at another time and we can talk directly about what the issues are? So I've done that as well. I think there's different ways to connect. The opportunities to come to all the events will be there. And I go to quite a bit. If you look at my social media, there's a lot. And I don't even post all of the things that I do. So it is carving out some of that time with family, because I've seen it, because I've been involved in politics so long. I've seen the negative side of it and the impacts that it has on people's personal relationships in life. And while I'm definitely a lot more busy than I was before, I want to try and limit those impacts. Because at the end of the day, when you're out of office, well, guess what? You have to have your personal relationships in your family.
Correct.
And it'd be nice to be able to go back to that after as well. So that's a little bit of how it is. And I think maybe some people in politics sometimes are afraid to talk about it. But it's hard. And it's evenings, it's weekends. We're here on a Saturday right now. But it's also important. So it's important to try and show up as much as possible, but at the same time also to have a little bit of that time with family.
That's great. And I couldn't agree more. Mental health is very important. So please take care of yourself and family.
Thank you.
The next question to it, what grounds you during the busy legislation seasons?
Coffee grounds? Is that?
It
helps, right? The coffee definitely helps. I think, to be honest, what grounds me is a little bit of the building itself. It's a very grand building, and every day you see school groups there and people visiting the legislature.
Correct. Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things for me is when you're seeing folks exploring the building, being taught about the building, because it's your building at the end of the day. So your building, as much of it's mine. I may have certain privileges that I can go in different areas that maybe you can't. But at the end of the day, it's the people's building. This is the body, the building that is the house of our government, of our legislature, I should say, where people from all across this province are represented in it through the individual members. So when I see the school groups, kind of like, yeah, this is why I'm doing this.
Good.
Yeah.
Can you arrange a tour of some of my family and
come on down?
Got it.
Come on down.
Got it. I'll send a request to your office and we'll see it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And if you come when we're sitting, you can watch Question Period or some of the other stuff too, and get a shout out in the legislature. So.
Speaking of the shout out, you said it for some of the a very good point. I was meant to ask, but I was waiting for the good moment. I was seeing in the post-COVID times some of the CPB channel, the recordings.
Yeah.
And our politicians were very polite in parliaments and the chambers.
It's a quorum,
it's a quorum, and they are respectful institutions and the houses, right? But same time I was watching in the U.S. or previously, they just it's looked like sometimes it's a dogfight. But now I'm seeing that our politicians are doing the same.
Yeah, and I don't think it's a good thing.
It's not a good thing.
I don't think it's a good thing. I think we're entering a bit more of a partisan era in politics, and I don't think that's a good thing. And a lot of that is incumbent on both the government and the opposition. So federally, I think what you're seeing, especially with the federal Conservatives, is they're very attacking and very negative, right? I think, and the government is, sometimes they answer the questions, sometimes they don't. Provincially, I think what you're finding is the government there, the current government, the Ford government, they're not, I think, in my view, treating it with the respect that it deserves, the institution. There's a lot of, well, we got elected, so we're going to do whatever we want kind of approach. It's a bit of an arrogant approach. And when these issues are being raised, the public, they do expect a response, right? And you're not always getting that. I believe in good government, responsible government, maybe call me old-fashioned, but I believe that a government, when, maybe they've went on the wrong track, or, there's been some things that have happened, to correct and to listen to the opposition as well and listen to the people. I think that's something that's really important. And I think there needs to be a lot more respect in the legislature towards one another. And I'll give you an example. There was a bill in the House, a government bill that I've supported, and that all MPPs supported, actually, around municipal accountability and issues of kind of harassment and wrongdoing and treatment of women in municipal level. And an MPP that was championing the bill, who is the Green MPP, actually, Ashland Clancy, and she's speaking, and then a member on the government side goes and makes a comment and asks a question that was pretty sexist. And literally the point of that bill at the municipal is to avoid those kinds of things. And then in the chamber, there's a member on the government side, backbencher, saying something that's extremely offensive and sexist. And I think we've got to check ourselves sometimes, and I think it's unfortunate. And I don't think that's the right approach or tenor or thing that we should have in the legislature. I think it's supposed to be respectful. And there should be things like ministerial accountability, responsibility. Take ownership for the issues that your ministry is dealing with, or files, like agencies, right, like Metrolinx, or there was recently something called Ontario Health at Home, and there was a data breach that took place. And it was a data breach that involved a vendor, a contractor of Ontario Health at Home. This is the home care agency. And the government hid it for 3 months. And it only came out because one of our MPPs raised it. Like, just things are going to happen. I used to work for a school board. Things happen sometimes. You have to take ownership. You have to clearly communicate and say, here's what we're doing to fix it. I don't think we see enough of that right now. And then when we do see it, it's these knee-jerk reactions that are not thoughtful. So I'll give you a good example. Federally, I don't want to talk too much about federal stuff, but it's something that impacts provincial issues, international students and immigration. There's a lot of rhetoric from the Conservatives around it. And the government then made a very sudden change, but without fully thinking through what that change is, because now it's had a huge impact on our post-secondary institutions in Ontario. I think the whole situation should have been managed much better at the start, quite frankly, too, because there's a big problem there at the start of it, where it shouldn't have gotten out of control to where it was. But now, because they made the sudden change, now there are colleges in Ontario and universities that are laying off staff, right, because the students aren't there anymore. So there needs to be a lot more thinking about what the impact is, both at the start and at the end. And we're not seeing that right now. So, I mean, that's the unintended consequences, right, of some of the decisions we make. And maybe if the federal government, reacted quicker and thought quicker earlier on, I should say, the impact would not nearly been as bad. Right? So it's that kind of stuff as well, where sometimes the government gets so locked in that, we're going to finish this, or we're going to do whatever it is. And sometimes you need to be a bit more soft and flexible when it comes to it. Because when it's so easy to get locked in, but if you do, the issue is going to be worse later. That's,
Very nicely said. And I couldn't say it any better. And you're truly visionary and a good leader. And I must praise your mother too. She raised you very well, sir. So say thanks to her. She did a good job.
She's very happy.
And if she ever is comfortable visiting, happy to meet her and tell her thank you. She raised a good son. Why not when those mishaps happen by politicians speaking too loud or too justified discussion, because they are setting up the example of our country, and those recordings are going internationally. And look at the comments on the YouTube. To be honest, people are laughing at us. Why? So why not the House Speaker take the action?
Well, so there's certain rules of decorum, right? You can't use unparliamentary language, right? You can't swear or stuff like that. You also can't accuse another member of lying, even if they are in the House. That's the interesting thing too, right? Because we see that sometimes. People are misleading. I think they are. So the Speaker will intervene, especially when people are getting a bit rowdy and out of order. But part of it is also the approach of the government, right? I think that's what part of it is too, because it's not just in the legislature, it's outside the legislature as well. So, I think the Speaker now, provincially, she's taking a bit of a firm line on it, and I think it's a good thing.
So, Rob, what does it take, when the politicians lie or give false information or statement? What is the accountability on that? Can the law hold them accountable?
Not very much.
Why don't we change the law? Because this is the place you don't want to, lie.
I think there's in the House, it's you should ensure that you are not misleading the House or lying or not saying the whole facts. So what I'm referring to in that sometimes is some people will say, oh, well, when the Liberals were there, they didn't do anything or they didn't build anything, which actually isn't true, right? It's misleading. But it is what it is. And I think that it's up to us to challenge them in our questions and how we respond to those things in the House. Because once you start embarrassing them on that, then it stops. Right? So, it's not a perfect way, unfortunately.
Yeah, you're right.
There is a kind of a required of kind of standards that people should be upholding themselves to. But you have to be careful, I think, with it. It's challenging. It's challenging. Because we also want people to be able to express their views and opinions. And I think that's important as well. So in some ways, we do have to self-govern, and sometimes we get the reputation that we deserve.
Is there any... Yeah, you say very right. They need to be respectful for all levels and all the time. Is there any portal in the government for provincial candidates to see, what they promised in the campaign promises?
No.
And there's a...
It's just what the media reports on, right? What you can pull together. Maybe, there's some people out there that definitely provide a lot of commentary, right, on these issues.
So we don't know the conversion
the
is happening.
Really, a lot of it, to be honest. And us as opposition, right, to also say, well, you promised to do this. How come you're not doing it?
Exactly. What is the time frame on that? So I think there should be a kind of portal or the public website which just generalize, say, this politician's promised this, and so far in this
there
years...
are some people that have developed one federally that I've seen, more tracking the promises or the priorities of the government right now. But it's all kind of citizen-led, right? And maybe it should be citizen-led, though.
Yeah.
It probably should be citizen-led.
It should be.
And we track as well. We keep track of what they've said, right? And other opposition parties have as well, right? So it's up to us then to hold them to account.
Because what happens, people get busy in day-to-day life and they tend to forget, what they promised versus what's
You just read the headline, right? In the news and the paper, the little short thing. That's all right. You see at the end of the day.
Yes.
So that's why I have doing e-newsletters. I'm doing paper newsletters as well. I will be and communicating on social media so people can have access to all the information that I have, and short updates and long updates.
Okay, good. So let's take the conversation a little bit lighter mode. So outside your chamber and office, how does your work in a personal life reflects how's your spouse is and everything?
We like NFL football.
Okay.
So American football, it is what it is, but follow that quite a bit when that season is happening. So that's enjoyable for us and myself. And I have I have friends and other folks, right, that we hang out with outside of here as well, right? So get to do all of that. It's fun. It's good.
That's good. Any fun facts, music teams or hidden talents?
Karaoke, I do one song, Don't Stop
Really?
Believing. Sports is really NFL football, in particular, the Cleveland Browns, and number 2 for me, the Buffalo Bills. Not that many hidden talents, I think. I tend to be maybe more situationally funny, not planned funny.
Okay.
Right. Sometimes I think I have a good joke and I say it's not a good joke. So, only reactionary, it's better.
You're right.
At the end of the day, trying to get back into working out and running and stuff because it's hard. I think I've gained 10 pounds since the election ended.
Oh, really?
Just because you're eating out more and there's events and stuff like
Longer
that,
hours,
and it's harder to take care of yourself. So I'm trying to fix that as well, which I guess can help with stress relief too. So
very good. Wish you all the best in that.
Yeah, thank you.
My next question to you is, what are the top goals for your current terms?
I think we spoke about a lot of them. I think it's getting the Express GO train back. It's getting a firm commitment on electrifying the Lakeshore East Corridor. Hopefully being able to get a new school built in an area. I'm still working on that with the school board and advocating around that to push to have it considered as part of their capital priority submission, which approves the new schools. Developing a community-led response to homelessness and working in partnership with folks. And that work's happening right now. So those are, I think, some of those priorities. There's always more that end up coming up as well. But I think that the main focus is the GO train. At the end of the day, advocating on the healthcare system to hopefully we can get the hospital in a better shape there, because it is a big issue in the community. And there's other adjacent things to healthcare. There's some good applications in from community providers here. So I'm working behind the scenes to try and advance those as well. Because it'll help improve care, especially for seniors and older adults and people with frailty in the community. So there's a lot more, of course, but those are some of the main priorities. And I'll be doing some education as well, kind of around property taxes and the provincial role in it. Because I think part of it as well is helping to educate the public and inform the public about what the truth is and what the situation is. Because I think people deserve to hear the truth.
That's a key word. Deserve to hear the truth. And a lot of politicians, just supporting and speaking carefully in respect to, keep the job safe, as well as, the party they represent safe. And I think you are breaking the ice again. I have said it 10 times already. But I think this is what we need. We need somebody who truthfully speaking from the heart, not from the party's aspect to it. You are elected now.
Absolutely.
Your job is.
And it's funny that you bring that up, because during the campaign, some people asked me, well, if you're elected, who are you going to work for, the party or Ajax? And the answer is very simple. It's Ajax. At the end of the day, because folks have elected me here to work on their behalf and work with them to make the community a better place. That's what my focus is. Not the party, not the other stuff. No one has a monopoly on a good idea.
Very good.
Let's get stuff done.
Exactly. And this is exactly kind of attitude we needed. And you bring in the positive attitude and is going to shaking up, the things. You're in the opposition, but the conservative need to, watch over, because this is kind of tone and attitude we need. That's exactly. And I'm seeing it as a witness, because I've done the podcast with the politicians earlier. You have not mentioned praise and sugarcoating your Liberal government. There was some mistakes happen.
Absolutely.
And
and in the House they'll say, well, when the Liberals were there, and I'd be like, well, I wasn't there then.
Exactly.
I can't speak to that.
Exactly.
They did some bad things. They messed up on some things. This government's messing up on some things.
Yes.
Mike Harris' government messed up on a lot of things.
Yes.
The downloading, selling off 407, we spoke about some. Bob Rae NDP government did.
Yeah.
Even before. Governments are not going to be perfect.
Yes.
And I don't think we can pretend that they are.
Bingo. Like, even like, if you talk about the current, like, Raffle government, like, just even considering, like, bringing the green belts.
Well,
like,
it was a mess. It was, in the way in which it was done sketchy.
Yeah.
It was done behind closed doors. It was done with secret folders being presented to ministers and staff and stuff like that. Like the RCMP is investigating it.
Yes.
Right now. We'll see what they determine, if there's charges or not. But the fact that the RCMP, the police,
Yes,
is investigating what happened, that's concerning.
on a sitting a politician,
That's
like,
concerning.
that's very concerning, and that makes me worry. Like, what is going on? How could this escalate it to this level? This is completely unacceptable and completely nonsense, in a sense that you even consider it when the land is locked, and that is holding Canada, like, as a beautiful city, what it is. If he's selling off, like, to the builders and developers,
and it's the way in which, because the Greenbelt is mandated to do a review. That review is actually supposed to start this year. They haven't started it yet.
Okay.
I think they're afraid to start it now.
Okay.
Because of their actions before. But the Greenbelt was an artificial construct. And yeah, people will look at it and stuff. But the way in which that was done, it's unconscionable. It's not right. And now it's going to harm progress, and it's going to harm actually understanding, do they need to make changes or not? I don't know. But I've committed to protect the environment, and we need to expand our green spaces and natural spaces here in Ajax and across the province, because we only have one planet, we only have one, and we need to make sure that is there for future generations.
Very good, very good. One of the questions I want to ask you, like, what makes and builds the momentum for you to win this election? Because past MPP Patrice Barnes was conservative, and the government was conservative. So what made you lead and win the election?
I mean, I know Patrice. She's a friend of mine. She's a nice person. In terms of what helped, I think it was some of the cracks that were forming in this government with the Greenbelt, with their approach to governing. I think that was part of it. And I think as well it was the campaign that we ran. We ran a very optimistic campaign, a very forward-thinking campaign, and an engaging campaign across all of Ajax, one that listened to residents and said, look, I will be a partner to you and work with you to make our community a better place. So I think that's part of it. It was going to be close, I knew, when I became the candidate. And it was close on election day. It was 331 votes. Yes,
it was very close, very tight election. Even up till the last moment, it was not very clear. But I'm glad that you win, and your leadership is showing in this podcast. And I'm very happy and very pleased. My next question to you is some youth, if they're looking to get into the politics, what is the civic engagement matters lesson or the message you wanted to give it to them, because it's needed more than ever?
Absolutely. There's so many different ways to get involved in your community. Some of it's through politics, sure, but some of it can be a community initiative, like a community garden, right, or cleaning up the neighborhood, right, the trash in the neighborhood, for example, in the ravine. So civic engagement, it takes so many different forms. At the end of the day, it could be with working with your fellow students at school and coming up with an idea that could make Ajax a better place, and bringing that to me and bringing that to the municipality, the council, right? The mayor and the councillors there. I think that's part of it. I think it's staying up to date and reading. But if we don't engage and involve our young people in politics or in how to make the town a better place, I think that's going to be a bad thing then if we don't do that.
Correct.
Right? We need to do that. So it's getting involved, it's reaching out, it's volunteering. And that could be volunteering with a nonprofit, right? That could be volunteering on a community event or festival or an initiative. There's so many different ways to be able to do that. And it helps increase knowledge and makes new connections, and something that could be very helpful down the way.
Very good. And I think you are one of the leaders that we were looking for quite a bit of time, because I've been living in Ajax for the past 17 years, and I've seen the Joe Dixon and the other ones too along the way. But you are the next voice that the community needs, and I'm glad that you're doing a good job. With that, I would like to hold an event with the youth attracting, if before the school opens. So just maybe the virtually or a little bit in person, where we invite high schoolers. Students to just come by and to listen to you and get motivated, or maybe we'll see after the schools open and all, to just give them a lifelong lesson and the challenges you faces and all that, and how to overcome, and give them as they're one of the career choice too, that this could be a good career, but the thing is you need to work hard and you need to discipline yourself and all that in order to choose it. So that's very good. One of the questions I wanted to ask is, the snap election happened in Ontario while the U.S. President Donald Trump was attacking our country and disrespecting it, making it possibly our 51st state and all that, while he knows we're going through scheduled the federal election too. Why did Roth vote call the snap election for?
He wanted to take advantage of the situation. Very simple. At the end of the day. And when I was knocking on doors, people were wondering, why is there a campaign? Why is there an election? I'd say, well, Doug Ford wanted one at the end of the day. And to be honest, it worked. He got another majority government because people weren't paying attention as much. And he was able to use the very real concerns that people had about the U.S. And use that to his advantage. He looked good in the media when he was trying to stand up to Trump. And it sounded very good in the media. But the reality is the power that the Premier of Ontario has, the government of Ontario has, is quite limited when it comes to actually dealing with the U.S. because it's the federal government is the one that's negotiating. It's the federal government that's working. Premiers and provincial governments play a role, but actually not that big of a role when it comes to negotiating with the U.S. on trade. It's just not his job. And you saw during the campaign, they spoke, we're going to protect Ontario. That was the line, right? Protect Ontario from Trump and from the tariffs and all of that. But now here we are, 5 months later, Ontario hasn't been protected. Jobs are being lost. Manufacturers are shutting down. So, he got his majority. He got what he wanted at the end of the day. And so when people get cynical about politics, I don't blame them when they see stuff like that, right? I don't blame them when they see people trying to use it and exploit it for political gain instead of working to help the people. The legislature could have been meeting, the legislature could be sitting, and they could have been making very important decisions on actually how to protect Ontario.
Correct.
And we saw after the election, then it took, a month and a half or so, I think it was about a month and a half, until they brought the legislature back. So we needed to have an election right away to have a mandate, and they didn't do anything with it. So it is what it is now, unfortunately, but I get it why people are cynical about politics. And it's up to me to try and change that. Maybe what they didn't expect is that I would be there now. And others would be there now, right, to bring a new perspective and new voice, and new energy, quite frankly.
Very good.
To politics. And we'll see what happens now the next 4 years.
Yes. I'm definitely seeing that you're bringing not only good energy, good vibe, and good mindset. And you're just holding it accountable and being straight, talking to very straight professional tone, professional attitude. Listen, I'm not here to please you. I'm here to work with you.
Exactly.
We need to get the job done. Correct. We need to produce results for the public. So, and this is kind of set not only the standards, but set the the quality and the personality of a politician. And I'm keep saying it, and I wish you all the best into the future, and I really like you to be our next premier. Whenever the election opens, please.
We've got a leader right now, and
whenever the opportunity opens, because you could qualify for that, right? And through this, maybe the one day the prime minister, because you have truly.
I care about the provincial issues.
Yes.
The most, and if I can make a big difference there, I'll be happy.
You got it.
Plus, I don't think my French is at the level of running federally.
But eventually, you have a good genes, and you're doing all the steppings correctly. I can see that, and if I would ever invest in you, why not? You're the man, and that I can trust. So very good. So, any moment in the legislature so far, it was not quite a long time that you spent yet, but that you're proud of.
So when you're a new MPP, you get to do an inaugural speech. You get to speak typically up to 20 minutes. Maybe it's less sometimes, but typically 20 as your first speech in the legislature, talking about yourself and your family and what drives you and what's important to you and all of that. So I got to do that, and I invited my mom and my family and some other people and friends there, and they were able to be there and see that. So I think that is something that maybe I'm most proud of. It's not something that we've gotten done, but I think it's just something very meaningful. I got to speak about my grandparents that have passed on now for many years, and people that really mattered to me, and to be able to speak about them in the legislature was quite meaningful.
Very good. And you're bringing your mom and thinking about your family and your ancestry into the parliament. That shows that you're a family man. Yeah. I couldn't be more proud on my MPP than I am right now, sir. So very good. If you weren't in politics, what would you be doing?
I mean, ideally on a beach, but although it's hot right now, I don't know if you want to go from hot to hot, right? Maybe in the winter on a beach. How's that? No, in all seriousness, I'd be working and building the consulting business that I had started, and kind of working on different projects. I did like the flexibility of consulting, and I like solving problems. So I like it when there's an issue or there's something we've got to fix it, to go in there and fix it and move on. Yeah. Politics is, I guess, a little bit like that too. It's just bigger issues and longer term. Yeah. But that's, I think, what I would be doing.
I'm happy to work with you for long term, sir, because I'm a consultant myself, and I like to solve the problems for different sectors, different genres of business. And this is, people say stay focused on one niche. I say, well, no, I have so many body parts in my body, and they all function well. So why not? I asked this question to the co-op students who come to my office, just for brain exercise. Choose the one part of the body that you can live with. And some choose eyes, some choose brain, some choose this. I said, what's going to happen to your eyes, ears, teeth, tongue, kidneys, and liver? You need it all. Yeah. So the lesson is you need to work with all, and you need it all to work it. So just don't limit yourself and your minds and brains. Go exceptional and extraordinary. This is what Canada offers you. You're born and raised here, so it has more opportunity. I did quite okay, in my opinion, being as an immigrant. First immigrant, but definitely my children are on the path of the success that I'm anticipating. Hopefully they follow the good paths from their father and mother. But great meeting you, Rob. As an MPP, I'm super proud, super happy. Wish you all the best. Count me in for anything, volunteer, advising, planning, committees that you found me to through this podcast and meeting. Happy to work with you. To bring the change, bring the bigger voice. And I'm so enjoying this podcast, and hopefully people too. And this is an eye-opener, and you are not setting up a good example, but setting up good standards. If anybody needs to be politics, watch you, listen to you. And besides the consultancy, I'm just advising that you should, start coaching the youth how to be a good ethical politician. And I think that course can be taught, voluntarily and all that.
I've offered anybody that would like. I'm always more than happy to.
Very good, very good. So far, you hasn't said no for anything that I'm bringing, so that's very good. So, do you have any other message that or points we not mentioned so far yet?
I think life is a journey, politics is a journey, everything is a journey, right, at the end of the day. And if I have the ability to hopefully leave things better than I found it, I think that's a success. I'd like to do a lot of things, but again, I don't know how long or short this will be, so may as well work hard, enjoy it, have fun, and do whatever I can to help people. And hopefully it will be for a long time, and hopefully we'll be able to really make some good, positive changes in Ontario.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Well done. Well said. So audiences, hopefully you enjoyed this podcast, and I'm so happy that we met Mr. Rob as our MPP Ajax. If you like to join our podcast into the future, don't hesitate. Give us a call, 289-275-2147, and contact us via our email, contact@digipixinc.com. I'm also grateful and thankful to the venue for providing us the space. The Work Hub, they provide the space in offices, conferences, podcast room, council room, and all that. So please check out their website, theworkhub.ca. Thank you very much for watching and have a wonderful day.